Good morning, NuView. We are so excited to have you again here for another Tuesday webinar. Today, we are going to be talking about the investor life cycle with me and Desi Arnaz. Disclaimer: NuView Trust serves as your custodian for alternative assets. We do not sell, buy, or sell investments, nor do we give investment advice. We custody IRAs, ESAs, HSAs, and 401ks that hold alternative assets that are chosen by you, the client. So, what is a self directed IRA? Self directed IRA is just a marketing term, but it is an IRA in which the IRA owner self directs all the investment decisions inside of the plan. An IRA is an IRA, and all IRA accounts can be self directed. Please, Amy, let's turn it over to our special guest, Desi. Please take it over and teach us this wonderful class today about the
Well,
investor life cycle.
excellent. Thank you so much, Tabitha. I really appreciate you inviting me to be on here today, and I'm excited to share the information that I have to share with your listeners and viewers today. Um, so I want to welcome you guys to this unique event. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that most of you have probably never been to an event like the one that I have planned for you here today, because I'm not only going to be showing you a brilliant investment strategy, but I'm also going to show you how you can leverage your investment skills to change your family's financial future forever. I'm going to show you how you can create a private banking system for your family that will last for 360 years. So if you're serious about leaving a financial legacy, I don't know how to leave one any better than that, right? And so if this sounds intriguing to you, grab yourself a notepad and something to write with, because you will likely want to take notes over the next 20, 25 minutes as I reveal the most powerful structure that you've ever seen for brilliantly investing your capital, your retirement account, while you automatically create a financial legacy for yourself and for your family. And then afterwards, I'll stick around. We'll do a little bit of Q&A for those of you that have questions, and if there were any questions sent in. Now, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Desi Arnaz, and I wasn't sure if my camera was on there. Sorry about that. Okay. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Desi Arnaz. I am the senior fund manager of the Everly Capital Group. We're a real estate fund, a $100 million real estate investment fund. And I've been a full-time investor since 1982. I'm also the trustee of a multi-generational investment trust that I created to serve as a private banking system for my family for the next almost 4 centuries. And I'm going to show you how you can create an investment trust that produces profits and cash flow today, while at the same time creating an amazing legacy for your family. And when it's all said and done, I think we can all agree that the reason we do any of this stuff is so that we can make a better life for ourselves and for our families, right? Good. So
Right.
let's get started. As I said, I've been doing this a long time. I'm not a young man anymore. I'm 71 years old, and I certainly, at my age, I've had lots of life experiences. And my life experiences have given me a different perspective than that of a younger man. Like some of you, I worked for decades following the plan that society had laid out for us. You know the plan: go to school, study hard, right? So that you can get a good job, right? We know that one. And of course, that was all I knew. And then next, we're taught to work for 40 hours a week for 40 years, after which time we can retire and enjoy our golden years. I call that the 40-40 plan. And like many people, I bought into that plan as a young man, a young adult. However, as I matured, I began to look around and I noticed that some of the most successful people that I met did not follow the 40-40 plan. I also noticed that my friends and family members that did follow the 40-40 plan were just getting by in life. They were living paycheck to paycheck. Now, don't get me wrong, they drove nice cars and they live in decent houses, but a lot of it was on credit. And life has taught me that living on credit is like building a house on sand. And in the Bible, in the book of Matthew, uh, the Bible calls a man foolish that builds his house on sand rather than on solid rock. Now, I'm not putting anybody down because, in fact, after working for more than 33 years, that's exactly where I was. And when the 2008 crash devastated the US economy, I lost my business, I lost my house, I lost my car, I went bankrupt, and ultimately, at 55 years old, I needed to get on government food stamps just to eat. And after being financially devastated as a senior citizen, I was faced with a choice. I could just accept my situation and live out my life in abstract poverty with a victim mentality, right? Or I could do something to get back on my feet. Well, by the time the recession started to ease up a bit, I finally got over the shock of having lost everything. And I decided that I was going to do something. And the first thing that I did is I began to pray. I prayed because by that time I was 60 years old, broke, and I didn't have a plan. Honestly, I didn't have a plan. I prayed for guidance. I prayed for a miracle. And on the 4th of July, 2013, I called it my personal Independence Day, I got the first piece of my miracle. And today, my spiritual life, my emotional life, my financial life, my family life, they're in a better place than they've ever been. So why am I sharing all of this extremely personal information with you? I'm doing it because I want you to know that no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're facing, I can relate to you. I also want you to know that God has a plan for you, and I believe that's why you're here listening today. So let me share my screen now, and I'm going to give you a high-level overview of our proprietary legacy building investment strategy. We call our program the Investor Circle of Life. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started with that here. The Investor Circle of Life. I like that name. So Tabitha, can you see my screen? I'm assuming my screen
To your
is...
screen.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so our program that I'm going to talk about today is comprised of three components: an investment component, a legacy component, and an administrative component. And I'm going to start by introducing the investment component. After all, you guys have self-directed IRAs. Obviously, you want to know how best to invest your money. So the first thing that I'd like to say about the investment component is that you won't find it on Wall Street. I know that this goes against everything that you've been taught about investing, but I believe that stocks and mutual funds and cryptocurrency and oil wells and precious metals and other Wall Street products are more on the gambling spectrum. That's more on the gambling spectrum than on the investment spectrum. I mean, if you think about it, when you purchase a stock or other Wall Street type product, the reality is that you cross your fingers and you hope that the market moves in your favor, right? So how is that any different than placing a bet on the table and rolling the dice and hoping that your number comes up? You know, as an investor, I recommend that we function and think more like bankers. I think we can all agree that banks are masters of money, right? And when a bank deploys capital, they're not hoping to make a profit, right? Are they? Banks don't hope to make a profit. They build their profits into their paperwork. Banks require legally enforceable contracts and a pledge of collateral when they deploy their capital, don't they? For example, the mortgage on your home. You're required to pay the bank every month, regardless of what happens in the stock market or in the real estate market, aren't you? That's how we structure our investments. That's how I structure my personal investments. And that's how I teach people to structure their investments. And in our Circle of Life program, that's how we do it. We're currently accepting, I'm sorry, I can't talk about that right now, what we're currently accepting. But here's what I do want to talk to you about. You probably heard that when a person is investing their money in real estate, there are three important factors that they should consider. Those factors are location, and location, right? Well, have you ever heard the term path of progress? That refers to human migration patterns. And here's what my research has taught me. My research has taught me that if we position ourselves in the path of progress, we can dramatically improve the success and profitability of our investments. So let me show you why we have chosen to invest in Florida and why I'm recommending to you guys. This is educational today. I'm recommending to you guys that you seriously consider investing in Florida. Florida is growing. In fact, more people are moving to Florida than any other state. Last year alone, 365,000 people relocated to the Sunshine State. Also, Florida leads the nation in corporate relocations as well. Over the past few years, many major corporations have relocated to Florida. Companies like Blackstone, Lockheed Martin, um, Goldman Sachs, Carvana, Bloomberg Capital, and so many others. So then the question becomes, why are so many people and companies moving to Florida? Well, one reason is that Florida has no state income tax and a very business friendly environment. And you couple that with high paying jobs, a top ranked educational system, a world class recreational environment, year round fun in the sun, and you know what? You got yourself a winner. That's what's happening in Florida. According to the Florida Apartment Association, Florida is going to need about 570,000 new doors by 2030, right? Florida's going to need about 570,000 new doors. I mean, that's huge. Florida is absolutely in the path of progress. And so one of the things that I'm suggesting to people is that if you're investing your money, you might want to consider putting it into Florida. In particular, consider putting your money into Florida to help meet the growing demand for housing in that state. I do recommend that. Over the last couple of years, I've been doing a bunch of studying on the state of Florida. There's a city in Florida called Palm Bay that I like because it's located in a part of Florida known as the Space Coast, right? And that is where rocket ships get launched. That's ground zero for the aerospace industry in America. All the big companies are there. Companies like SpaceX, Lockheed Martin, Blue Origin, even Cape Canaveral is there. And the government put the latest branch of the military there too, the Space Force, right? They have a base in a county called Brevard County, Florida. So I'm suggesting to you guys that you may want to take a look at those places when you're starting to invest in Florida. Now, when you're investing, one of the things that I recommend, as I mentioned earlier, is that you want to think like a banker. Bankers build their profits into their paperwork, okay? So when you're building your profit into your paperwork, one of the things that I'm suggesting to you guys is that you consider building in and investing in a way that will create cash flow for you rather than investing for equity. Cash flow at the end of the day is what literally gives you freedom, and it also gives you the ability to do other things. And I'm going to show you today how you can do some other things with the cash flow that you guys will be earning from your investments to build a financial legacy for your family, and you can make it self-funding. Really is pretty unique environment that I'm going to be sharing, or idea I should say, that I'll be sharing with you guys today. As I mentioned too, our program is called the Investor Circle of Life. So let me just share a little bit more about that with you right here. The Investor Circle of Life has three components: the investment strategy, the investment component, the legacy component, and the administrative component. I've just shared a little bit with you about the investment component. The idea behind the investment component is that you'll want to invest in cash flowing assets like real estate, for example, or promissory notes. Those are assets that create cash flow for you every single month right back into your self-directed IRA account. Now, that's the first aspect of it. The legacy aspect of it has to do with this. You're going to be creating a financial legacy that you can pass on to your family after you've gone, right? So one of the things that I decided to do in my own family was I decided to follow the lead of some of the most prominent families in America. And that lead, uh, families like the Kennedy family, the Disney family, families like the Rockefeller family, right? These families and others have chosen to use life insurance to pass their legacies on to the next generation. And once I saw this for the first time, I thought to myself, well, now that's an interesting idea. And I mean, how obvious is that as well, right? Life insurance, but not just any type of life insurance. They have structured specifically specially engineered life insurance policies that are designed to create cash value much faster than traditional life insurance policies. And the reason that they do that is because they can then use that cash value to invest some more. And I'll be sharing with you guys how that all works. And you'll see why we call it the investor circle of life. Now, if you're going to be using life insurance to pass some of your wealth onto your heirs, the idea behind it, in my opinion, is to try to build it in such a way that it can be multi-generational. And what I did in my own family is I created a multi-generational a plan for multi-generational succession of wealth. And I did it by combining my investments, which, by the way, I had at the time an IRA. When I set mine up, I had my IRA. I also bought life insurance policies on myself and on every family member within my family that would allow me to put a life insurance policy on them. And each of these policies, as I said, is a cash value building policy. And then in order to administer that, I created something called a trust. Now, we've all heard of trust, right? A trust is a document that people use to pass their estates on to their heirs. However, there's different types of trusts. And most people are familiar with the term living trust. And that's one of the things that a lot of people have in America is a living trust with their will in it and their medical directives and all that. Well, the type of trust that I'm talking about here today is not that, although you should have a living trust. The only issue that I have with living trusts is that they don't live very much long after you're gone, right? And so it makes it difficult for them to be multi-generational. They're not really designed for that purpose. Now, there are a few states in America that do allow us as investors to create trust that lasts many years, even centuries. And my favorite state, after doing a bunch of research, was the state of Tennessee. And so I chose the state of Tennessee because Tennessee allows for investors or other people to create something called a dynasty trust. A dynasty trust is a trust that lasts for a lot longer than just your lifetime. As a matter of fact, in Tennessee, the dynasty trust lasts for 360 years. And it doesn't simply transfer your assets to the next generation. That's what your living trust does. Your dynasty trust provides instructions, it provides guidance, it passes on your values that you want to pass down generation to generation. And it gives your future heirs instructions on how you want things to be handled with the legacy that you've left behind. That's why I say it's administrative. Okay. I mentioned the living trust. So let me go a little bit more into the dynasty trust. When you have a dynasty trust, you're going to set yourself up initially as the trustee while you're alive, and it is revocable while you're alive. That means you can make changes to it. However, once you pass away and you've graduated, let's say, then no more changes can be made to that trust. However, your heirs can step in and they can start to do some pretty amazing things. Here's the way I structured my personal dynasty trust. I set it up so that my dynasty trust owned the life insurance policies on all of my family members. Now, what does that mean? That means that when someone passes away, the funds from the life insurance proceeds don't go to the family. They go into the trust. And the trust is available for all family members to access. We set it up so that the trust can be used as kind of a family bank. And so if someone wanted to maybe take some money out to do some investing, to set up a retirement account, to go to college, to buy a car, they can literally pull it right out of the family trust and use that money to do those activities. The way that I structured our trust and the way that I recommend people structure their trust is to have those funds taken out in the form of a loan. You see, because if someone, for example, were going to be taking money to buy a car, and they were going to borrow money from Toyota to buy the car, they're going to pay back Toyota with interest, right? And that interest, once it's paid, is going to leave the family forever. That money is going to go to Toyota, obviously. Well, suppose that person had borrowed that money from the family trust that's funded by these life insurance policies. Okay. Now, when they make their monthly payments to pay the car payment, not only does that money not leave the family, that money, in fact, goes right back into the family trust, and the family trust grows and has more money to buy more life insurance policies on more family members, which creates more cash value, which can then be used to invest in more investments. That's why we call it the circle of life, right? It's this investor circle of life. So here's how it works. As an investor, you're going to have your retirement account or your savings, and you're going to invest like you always do. But you want to invest for cash flow. That's my recommendation, because the cash flow then gives you cash that can be used to go into your dynasty trust, which your dynasty trust can then use to buy more life insurance policies that are engineered to generate additional maximum cash value. And then that cash value can be used from those insurance policies to make more investments. Isn't that brilliant? And you know what's interesting is this is nothing new. The insurance policy idea is something that's been around for hundreds of years. Walt Disney used life insurance policies, the cash value from his life insurance policy, as part of his funding mechanism for his own, for building Disneyland. The Rockefellers used this strategy by putting life insurance policies on all their family members to grow their family's wealth generation after generation. And if you set up something like this in your family, where every time a new family member comes in, whether they're born into the family or they marry into the family, you put life insurance policies in place on those people. As we all start to pass on, those life insurance proceeds fund your trust. And your trust has more and more money in it. As a matter of fact, if you think about it, after just a couple of generations, there will literally be millions and millions of dollars available to your family as a result of the decision that you made today to set this up. So it's a very different way of thinking about things. I got this idea, the first real glimpse of this, when I met with a gentleman in 2022. We invested in a real estate deal together. He's a doctor, and he was telling me the story of what his grandfather had done for his family. His grandfather had started this very same process many years ago. And he said that his grandfather had set up a family bank for their family using life insurance policies and investment funds. And he said that when he went to medical school, he actually paid for his medical education by borrowing his student loan from the family bank and repaying the family bank with interest. Then when he bought his practice, set up his practice and bought a building for his practice, he took a mortgage from the family bank, and each month he pays his mortgage payment with interest back into the family bank. I mean, it's a pretty brilliant concept. And that was my first real introduction to how that could be structured. And since that time, I dove into it and I said, you know what, I really want to understand this. And now I've set up the very same thing for myself. Now, what I really like about it is that all we're talking about, guys, is buying insurance policies and putting trust into place, the right kind of insurance policies and the right kind of trust into place. And this is something that literally anybody can do. And that's what's so exciting about it. And then you take those funds and you can invest. Whether you want to invest as I recommend, which is for cash flow, that's up to you. You know, you can invest in anything. You want to put it in the stock market, that's fine. I don't recommend that because it's, as I said earlier, I believe that to be a gamble. But if you like the idea of doing this, guys, that this could be a game changer for your family. When you set up something like this, what will happen? I can tell you what happened in my family. Initially, my family was confused about it. Many of my family members were like, I don't even know. I mean, what are you talking about? I said to them, I'm going to buy life insurance policies on all of you guys. You don't have to pay anything. I'm going to buy the policies. Now, for years, I was not a believer in life insurance personally, because I always felt I'd rather invest my money than put it into a life insurance policy. But when you buy the right type of life insurance policy, you can actually engineer that policy so that you can buy the policy with the funds that you would normally invest. And then you can put that policy in place. And because the cash value becomes immediately available, you can then take the cash value from that policy and go ahead and invest as you would have normally done. I didn't know I could do that. And once I realized that I could use the same funds to invest and to buy the policies, literally just recycling those funds, then it became a no-brainer. So I decided I would buy policies on all my family members. Today I have policies, I think, on 22 family members. And the cash value inside these policies continues to grow and earn. I didn't mention this, did I? They earn interest while it's sitting in your insurance policies. The insurance companies pay you interest and dividends on the money that's sitting there. And so it's a great place to park your money as well while you're between investments. You know, so using your self-directed IRA, your insurance policies, your dynasty trust, you can create this machine that literally funds your family's wealth building process, automated by using the cash that is generated, the passive income that's generated from your investments. And as I said earlier, I do like real estate and I like promissory notes for those investments. And you can use that money to fund this entire process, the investor circle of life. So guys, if you want to know more about how this stuff works, here's what I'm going to recommend. You can reach out to myself or my partner, Carlo, and we'll be happy to answer your questions about how this works. I'm going to give you, I'll put it on the screen here for you now. I'll give you my phone number and I'll give you Carlo's phone number as well. And we would love to speak with you about what it is that we do. So Carlo's phone number, Carlo, is how he spells his name. His phone number is 954-641-8508. Carlo Michaels. My number, Desi Arnaz, my number is 951-551-0087. And so again, Carlo is 954-641-8508, and mine is 951-551-0087. So it's an interesting idea, isn't it, Tabitha? This whole idea that I shared.
Yeah, it's absolutely a very interesting strategy. I think it's super interesting. So you're talking about having a self-directed IRA that you're investing, and then personally, you're building out this life insurance policy where you can also have another avenue to then invest.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's correct.
super
And
cool.
you do it so that you not only pass your wealth on to the next generation, but you can also pass your values on. And that's one of the things I love about putting a dynasty trust into it too, Tabitha. For me, for example, being a Christian man, it was important to me that my family knew that. And so I named my trust with the Christian, it's the Humphreys Christian Family Trust. Okay. So I did that. And within my trust, I actually have, for the family members that want to participate in the financial benefits of our trust, I have benefits for them. For example, if they want to send their children to private school, the family trust will pay for the private school if it is a Christian private school. That's just me, right? I chose to do that. Someone else could do whatever they chose to do. So I chose to do that. And so for the next 360 years, family members of mine that want to go send their children to private school can have that funded through our trust, and they don't have to repay it. I set it up as a grant. If they want to send their kids to traditional schools or public schools, or I should say private schools that are non-Christian, they can still do that, but they can do it with student loans as opposed to a grant. That's just one of the things that I wanted to pass on to my family. Something else that I did is I created a family council inside our Dynasty Trust, and it's got 5 family members. They have to be 30 years or older, and they're voted in by the rest of the family. And they're there for dispute resolution and to monitor the trust and the trustee to make sure that everything follows what I wanted for the trust. You know, and also we have an annual meeting now, and everyone needs to attend that meeting. And now we were in our 3rd year, and everyone does attend that meeting. You know, and part of that is I wanted my family to be closer. We're all spread out all over the country, and that seems to be kind of a pattern that's happening these days. When I was younger, I mean, as I said, I'm 71 years old. When I was younger, your family was all around you. Everybody was right there. You know what I mean? All my uncles and cousins, they were all like just within a few blocks. We all lived in the same neighborhood. Now families are so scattered that they lose touch with each other. And I saw that happening in my own family, and I wanted to do something to fix that. And while I haven't created an environment where everyone moves together, I have certainly seen that people are, because we get together annually and we set up a mechanism, we set up a family Facebook group now where we're all communicating. I'm seeing so much more communication between my family members. It's just been a really good thing. It's nothing bad has come out of anything that I've done with this. It's been a good thing.
Yeah, it sounds great to be able to have that personalization and the control over, how you want it to look for X amount of years. And it's great, to be able to get the whole family together for a good cause. So I think it's really great what you guys are doing. I think there was a couple of questions that have come in that we would like to ask you if you're prepared to answer them.
Okay.
So the first question is, what is the advantage of investing in a mortgage fund utilizing my IRA?
Oh, I love it. Well, first of all, I want to say what a mortgage fund is. I'd like to just describe that, okay, for those people that don't know. When you're investing, you can buy mortgages. I didn't know this, by the way, until about 2013, but you can buy mortgages with your investment dollars. And you own those mortgages. And what that means is the person that lives in that house that owes the money on their mortgage makes their monthly payments to you, as opposed to Bank of America or Wells Fargo. You get those monthly payments. Well, for some people, that's okay to own that mortgage in their portfolio because they don't mind being hands-on. But if you don't know what to do, and if you're not familiar with how to foreclose and all the laws around debt collection and all that, I don't recommend that. A better option would be to put your money into a fund that invests in mortgages. You'll still get the benefit of earning interest every single month, but you don't have to manage that process because when you invest in a fund, there are professional managers that handle everything. And that's the real benefit of it. You get the return, you get the collateral, collateral means something that you can take if people don't pay. And by the way, that's one of the big benefits of investing in a mortgage at all, whether it's through a fund or individually. If the homeowner does not pay the payment and you own the mortgage, whether personally or inside a fund, that homeowner could lose their house, and the lender, you, could take possession and ownership of that real estate. And then you can sell it and get your profits back. Get your capital back plus your profits. You could rent it out. You could live in it if you want to. Once you foreclose on it, you own it. And that's the process that we use to repossess the property. It's called foreclosure. But as I said, putting it into a fund, when you invest your IRA into a fund, you get all the benefits of owning the mortgage without the management headaches of dealing with it.
So you still get the security instrument, investing in the fund without having to do the work yourself.
That is correct.
Being more passive, I guess.
That is correct. It is for the person that says, I like that, but I just don't know what to do, or I don't have the time to deal with it. And so I'll let the management company handle all of that. That's a wonderful way to invest.
All right. Amy?
The second question is well, you answered this first part already. What is a mortgage fund, and does it provide income that is not subject to the stick market?
The what
Stock
market?
I think.
Sorry.
Oh, I would say which market? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm not big, as you have heard already today, on investing in the stock market. I just don't think it's where most people should be. If you've got that expertise, so be it. Go for it. But for most people, Warren Buffett said, hey, invest in what you understand, right? That's what he says. He said, invest in what you understand. And I think most people understand basically how a mortgage works and how real estate works, more so than they understand what drives the prices up and down on the stocks, right? And so I suggest to people, invest in mortgages or real estate. I like mortgages because I don't like being a landlord. I was a landlord before the 2008 crash, when I got wiped out and I lost everything. But I was a landlord, and I did it for years, decades even, because I bought my first rental property in 1982. I never liked being a landlord. I never liked having tenants, but I felt it was a better investment strategy for me than the stock market, which was the only other thing that I really knew. I did delve into the stock market and commodities for a while. I lost, some money, and then I decided, forget that. I don't need that. And so the question, what was your question specifically again about stocks?
Does it provide income that is not subject to the stock market?
Yes. Yeah. So you're going to be collecting, when you invest in mortgage-backed promissory notes, whether individually or inside a fund, you're going to be collecting interest payments every single month. And they're not subject to the stock market. They're contractual. And every single day, you earn interest when you own a mortgage. Every day. You don't go backwards. Mortgages don't say, oh, we're going to subtract what you owe us next month. It never works that way, right? So when you're investing in mortgage-backed promissory notes, every day you make money, and it's contractual. And if you don't make money, you have legal recourse against the person who didn't give you money that day. This just, to me, that's investing. That's investing.
Yeah, that's the power, right?
Yeah, that's the power of it.
Yeah.
And that's what brought me back from the brink of, well, not even the brink, but from bankruptcy and being broke just a little over a decade ago, to literally having a multi-million-dollar family trust today. You know what I mean? It was saying, okay, no more of this going backwards. Stocks, yes, you can go backwards. You might make money, but then you might lose money.
Right.
Warren Buffett's 2 rules are never lose money. There's rule number 1, golden rule number 1, never lose money. Second rule is never forget rule number 1. That's rule number 2, right? Don't lose money. So I like mortgage-backed promissory notes because that's the whole idea behind them.
Right.
The chances, I mean, while you can never say you can't lose money, the chances of losing money with mortgage-backed promissory notes are very slim because you do have collateral. You have real estate that you can take, right? So that's my take on it.
Yeah, and I think that I agree, and I'll agree with your sentiment there that it's a much better security instrument than just investing in the stock market. Because as I tell my clients, if that stock or company ceases to exist, well, then so does your investment.
Yes, I love it. You're absolutely right. And that's what happened to me, by the way. I'll just share this story briefly. I had invested, at the time, I owned a mortgage company, and I thought, okay, I was doing business with a bank, well, a large mortgage banker in New York. And I thought, wow, I'm going to invest in their stock because I was doing business with them every single month. And so I bought some of their stock, and they literally went out of business about a year later, and my stock went down to being completely worthless.
Wow.
Worthless, zero. And I had no collateral. I couldn't walk in there and say, okay, because I had money invested in here, I want to take those 15 computers and those desks. I couldn't repossess anything. All I could do was lick my wounds and say, okay, that money's gone.
And how much was it, if you don't mind us asking?
I only invested $10,000 in their
Okay.
stock. Right? It wasn't a great deal of money, but but it was gone.
But
It was,
still, right, it's
yes,
gone. Doesn't
it was,
matter the amount of money.
right. It was
Right.
gone. Every penny. And I thought, wow, that before that I had always invested in real estate, and I'd never ever lost every penny in an investment. Ever. But I did in that one. They literally went out of business and I lost every dime. And nobody saw it coming. They were a big company. And I invested in them because I thought, yeah, they're a big company. I do a lot of business with them. I'm sure they're going to be around a while. You just don't know, guys.
Yeah, you just don't know
Yeah.
what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, you just don't
It's
know.
true.
So you need to position yourself so that you're not at risk. And that's the message that I was trying to get through to everyone today. Position yourself so that you're not at risk with your investments. If you can get your profits uh, built into a contract, a legal and binding contract, you're in a much better position. And then if you can then funnel your profits into a life insurance policy that can create a financial legacy for your children, your grandchildren, and your heirs moving forward. Can you see how much more powerful that is? And then if you can pull the cash out of those policies to continue the investment process, now you've just completed that circle. And my policies are now literally self-funding. I had to initially start the process, and I made an initial investment of $50,000 in life insurance policies for my family. But I haven't had to put another nickel in since then. But yet, our life insurance policies, we continue to buy more life insurance, and nobody's died either. We continue to buy life insurance policies. We continue to see our cash value increase, and we continue to invest and watch our investments grow. And it's all happening automated. I call it autopilot because I structured it properly to begin with. And that is our Investor Circle of Life program. I love talking about this. So if people want to talk to us, again, I'd like to give my phone numbers once more, if I may, before we leave.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Again, you can reach out to Carlo at 954-641-8508. Or you can reach out to me at 951-551-0087. And if you text me, I'll send you over a link to my calendar. And then you can get on my calendar because my schedule gets very, very busy. But text me. You can get a link to my calendar at the same phone number, 951-551-0087. Tabitha, this has been fantastic. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with your listeners and viewers.
Yeah, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on our show and coming and sharing some absolutely amazing insights. I know I learned a lot. If you guys are interested in learning more, please rewind a little bit and listen to that phone number so you can reach out to Carlo or Desi. If you have any questions regarding the self-directed IRA, of course, you can scan our QR code and follow the steps below in order to set a meeting with me or a member on my team. We will see you guys next week. We look forward to it. Please follow us on all of our social media. If you missed anything, all these classes are posted on our YouTube channel to review after the class. And if you'd like to stay up to date with us, follow us on our social media. Again, thank you guys. We'll see you next week.
NuView